Thank you for joining us here at the Healing Garden at Ridge Road Park for our commemoration of the month of September as Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. We were just here not that long ago to dedicate the Healing Garden as a place of remembrance and reflection for those who have lost members of their family to suicide. And it's always an emotional moment and thought. But we don't remember people one day a year. We remember them every day of the year. And those who are here as part of this ceremony and the one that we had before live with that every day of the year. So it is right and proper for us to come back to have these remembrances. We want to thank a number of different people and entities. Our Department of Community Mental Health and the Commissioner, Michael Orth, is going to speak in a few minutes. He's going to recognize some of the other professionals who are here at DCMH. And we're very grateful for his work and their work. And then, of course, here at one of our 50-plus outstanding parks, we're joined by Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, Kathy O'Connor, and her great team that do so much good for us in so many different ways. We want to thank the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We also want to thank the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI Westchester, and all of our community partners who've joined with us today. Michael's going to recognize some of those people who are here today, and we're very grateful for their friendship and their cooperation on these projects. It is the leadership of Michael Orth and this Department of Community Mental Health that has made sure that mental health is a top priority in Westchester County, and we view mental health in the same way that we view physical health. We do not see a stigma attached to mental health any more than we see a stigma attached to a person who has maybe perhaps broken their arm or has to deal with cancer. It is an illness. It is an illness that we deal with in a compassionate society. It's fitting that we're here today. This is a permanent memorial site. This site will be here long after I'm not in public office and all of us are off this planet, because we want this to be something that represents a perpetual remembrance. It is important for that. Suicide is not easy to talk about. It isn't easy to speak up if you have a family member or a friend who may be struggling or dealing with a mental health crisis. And there's so much that we don't know about these issues. We try to deal with them in a way that our society deals with it in this current day, knowing that for dozens of years we would ignore these kinds of issues in the society. And a person would be suffering almost by themselves in silence. Or we would have some general categorization of them that has nothing to do with their medical situation. And we've learned in the society more about how to be compassionate and sensible in our treatment of these issues. And I think that's what we're groping for in Westchester County. We're trying to do it better. We're trying every day to understand more, to be more compassionate, to be more thoughtful and more effective, and to try to help those people that are suffering from going forward with an action that we know will be tragic for them and all. We have here a butterfly display provided by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Each butterfly represents the number of suicides that were completed in Westchester County in 2022. This year we have 79 butterflies, far too many. But each butterfly represents a human life. This was a person. This is a person who lived among us, who loved and was loved by others. This person was a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a daughter, a son, a friend, a co-worker, a neighbor, someone that we knew in a church or synagogue setting, somebody that we knew because we had a common interest in some area that brought us together. Some of the other speakers who are going to speak in a minute will talk about it from a very personal standpoint. And those personal stories are hard to deliver from a microphone. And I appreciate the fact that they're willing to try to do that. It's emotional, and when the tears flow, they flow from all of us, whether we've had this happen in our family or not. If you're here by any reason for the first time, we encourage you to look at the display, take a moment and pause. That's the purpose for this healing garden. And think about the people. Think about the 79 people, what they represented during their life, and the fact that their life lives on in our memories and in our love. Our hope is that through the programs that we do for suicide prevention in the month of September, we will see fewer butterflies next year. I'd like to ask the leader of our efforts, the Commissioner of Community Mental Health, Michael Orth, who will go into greater detail about the program, and he's going to recognize some of the very fine people who are here today as part of this ceremony. Commissioner Michael Orth.
Thank you. Thank you, County Executive. It is truly very special that we're here to recognize Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in our new Healing Garden. Our beautiful garden would not have been possible without our planning committee, who helped for many months work on creating this garden and really reflecting the needs of survivors and family members and loved ones. Also, of course, Commissioner O'Connor and her staff for their efforts throughout the past year to make this beautiful garden, the beautiful stone wall behind us, the flowers. Thank you, Commissioner O'Connor. And of course, Ellen Hendricks for her leadership. You'll hear from her in a few minutes. Our Eagle Scout, Brandon, who helped to create the benches you see behind me. Marie Constantine from NAMI of Westchester helped lead the efforts for fundraising and getting folks to support this wonderful effort. And of course, Marie Idoni from AFSP, who really provided leadership with suicide prevention, not only in Westchester, but in our region. And of course, none of this would have been possible without the leadership, the direction, and support of our County Executive, George Latimer. I would also like today to acknowledge many of our DCMH staff who are here with us today. I have truly been blessed to work for DCMH for over 30 years and serve as commissioner for the past 6 years, and I'm so appreciative of their professionalism, commitment, and dedication to this work. The staff have been doing direct suicide prevention efforts from children's mental health to our employee assistance program to co-occurring disorders, substance use, developmental disabilities, those residents who are court involved, experiencing homelessness, as well as preparing contracts and working with our vendors to make sure the resources to go out for our wonderful providers to do the important work that they do. Westchester County is fortunate to have all of you serving our residents. Thank you. As my colleague Jill Costa, who's here with us today, and I and park staff were setting up the butterflies last Friday, 79, in the garden last Friday, I was thinking as the county executive spoke, who are these individuals, and thinking of what each butterfly represents. In my role as suicide prevention coordinator, I often hear and learn directly about our residents who've died by suicide. I learn a little bit about who these individuals are, and I speak to the survivors and family members. These butterflies represent young people who struggle with a sense of belonging and acceptance. They're often college students who felt overwhelmed dealing with life's pressures. First responders in military service who live daily with secondary trauma. Individuals who, as the county executive said, live with chronic or mental health pain, or struggling with substance use, or feeling helpless, or perhaps financial hardships, or going through a divorce, loss of a loved one, or are seniors who are struggling with health issues and loss. There are also those who feel they are a burden to their family or society. These individuals potentially represent all of us here today, including our family members, friends, neighbors, colleagues, or perhaps ourselves. I also started feeling frustrated by the fact that there are 14 more butterflies than last year. Even with all of our efforts, collective efforts, all of the wonderful work going on in Westchester, our task force, our faith-based leaders who are here with us today who are embedding mental health within the faith-based community, our veteran subcommittee, why do the numbers go up? I came to the realization that after 10 years of serving as Westchester Suicide Prevention Coordinator, that I can't predict any better who is more likely to die by suicide than I perhaps thought I could 10 years ago. What I do know is that all of us are potentially at risk due to the various circumstances, that there are effective ways in preventing suicide, and we all have an important role to play in suicide prevention and saving lives. For Westchester to improve outcomes and strive for 0 suicides, it will take all of us seeing ourselves as first aiders. Teachers, coaches, ministers, judges, lawyers, supervisors, colleagues, government officials, bartenders, hairstylists, primary health care, faith-based, neighbors, all having, as the county executive said, the tool, the vocabulary, the skills, the ability to connect with each other, to help support each other in a time of need. We are all the first responders when it comes to saving lives. Fortunately, in Westchester, thanks to the support of our county executive and our board of legislators and others, we have training opportunities. We have mental health first aid. We have Soul Shop. We have Safe Talk. We have AFSP and NAMI who provide services. So there's more than enough training for us to be skilled at being first aiders. We also ask that all of you spread the word on our 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline operated through St. Vincent's. The The Lifeline alone has responded to over 3,700 calls in 2023. That's 6-7 months worth of calls. 3,700 Westchester folks have reached out for services. There have also been efforts on addressing access to means. Thanks to our county, we're also looking at bridge barriers, gun and safety lock, and access to storage medication. These are all critical factors that we can play in helping to prevent suicides. All of us can make the difference in saving lives. And I ask, if you want any more information about what I said, please call our department, Department of Community Mental Health, at 995-5220. Again, I want to thank the county executive, the Board of Legislators, our providers, our department, specifically Joe Glazer, Bill Weitz, Jill Acosta, who helped prepare this event and all their work around suicide prevention. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much, Michael Orth, our Commissioner of the Department of Community Mental Health. And Michael, your leadership on this has been tremendous, and as frustrating as it might be for all of us to know that there are 79 butterflies, we don't know how many countless more would have occurred without the programs that you and others and the private organizations have done. So I view this as an effort that's succeeding and will have greater success in the days to come. Working partnership. Next, I'd like to, first I'd like to recognize that we've been joined by Erica Lang Pierce, who's a member of the Westchester County Board of Legislators. She and her colleagues are leaders on this issue, and she personally has put time and energy and effort into this, and there isn't anything that happens in this government that doesn't happen with the agreement of the legislative body along with the executive body. So we appreciate her presence here. She may be joined by a colleague or two more. If she does come, any help we have to put additional chairs up there would be welcomed. Thanks. Let me next introduce Maria Idoni. She is critical with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, and they provided the butterflies. And they saw in the symbol of the butterfly the being that starts out in a cocoon, but grows into a beautiful presence in our midst, and that there is, out of every one of these dark cocoons, the potential for a butterfly to fly. So Maria, thank you for that, and thank you for being with us and sharing your thoughts today.
Everyone's a little taller than me. Good morning, and thank you all for being here today. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is usually known for their walks in Westchester, but we are so much more than that. We offer free resources, free trainings, as Michael said. We have anything that you need is free. Our trainings are virtual or in person. We have support groups. We have healing conversation. If you've lost someone, we will connect you with someone else who has lost someone. We try and make the same loss. It's not professional, it's a peer. All our volunteers have lost someone to suicide, or they've struggled themselves. So our organization is grassroots. Yes, I'm the leader, we say, but my job would not be possible without the help of everyone in our community. We all know suicide can be preventable, and that's possible through trainings, like Michael said, and bringing awareness. I love how the county executive was up here talking about treating our mental health the same way we do our physical health. That is the biggest obstacle in people's way, not talking about their mental health. As he said, if someone broke their leg, I'm sure everyone would say, oh, what happened? If someone's crying, we don't reach out usually because it's not our concern. We don't want to be nosy. Whatever your reasonings are, we step back. With suicide prevention training, it teaches you that it is okay to ask someone if they're thinking of suicide. You're not putting the thought in their head. We teach you how to respond when you ask that question. We can all be heroes. Suicide is preventable, and it can be done with the help of everyone. Everyone can be a suicide prevention hero. You can all make a difference. Please check our website out, afsp.org, for our free resources, trainings, materials, anything you may need. And thank you all for your support today. If you have lost someone to suicide, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm here if you want to talk afterwards. I'm here to connect you. Thank you all for being here today.
Maria, thank you for your passion and your compassion and your leadership on these issues. We deeply appreciate it. Let me also extend a the wishes conveyed by Ken Jenkins, who's our Deputy County Executive. He is at a different event that's happening simultaneously with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand on the issue of maternal health, particularly for those women of color. And so there's so many different issues that come before us in a public policy standpoint. He wishes he could be here, but he's here in spirit with all of us. For any of you who follow any of us on Facebook, I have kind of an eclectic Facebook set of postings. If you do follow it, I wouldn't expect you would. Most of us in politics tend to have Facebook posts that are pretty formulaic. You'll see pictures of us standing in a group with a bunch of people grinning. We were here, and then the next post is we were some other place grinning with a group of people, and we go from place to place to place. I really don't go that direction. Many of my posts are fairly eclectic. If you follow me, you'll know that I am an aficionado of music of my era, which pretty much stopped around 1993. You'll note that I am a baseball and football and hockey and basketball fan for 4 teams, none of which have won a championship in 30 years. And so I'm constantly bemoaning the state of my various teams. And I looked at a Facebook post when I went through, scanned it. I posted a couple of weeks ago a picture of myself and my younger sister. We were at some family wedding. I don't recall what the wedding was. I think I was about 7 and she was 4. And anybody who remembers seeing that post, you can go look it up. You know, you see my little sister's like this. She's all dressed up in those days. You know, we had to really dress up for these things. And I'm sitting there with a grin on my face with a jacket and tie. Nobody 7 years old puts a jacket and tie on. Now I go to bed in a jacket and a tie. But so it was a great picture. And so my sister called up and she saw me post it, and we talked a little. We had a wonderful conversation. And anybody who has a sibling or multiple siblings know that you go through experiences with your siblings. You go up and down. You know, when we were teenagers, I tortured her, she tortured me. That's what happens when you're in those years. And then, of course, years later now, as we're both in advanced years with grandchildren and children and so forth, we have a much closer simpatico. And I think of how much I value the closeness I have with my sister. They live in the D.C. area, so we can see each other fairly regularly. And then I think about the people that have lost a sibling, the people that don't have that sibling there to pick up the phone and talk to, that shared experience of growing up in your parents' home. By the time you reach my age, your parents are generally gone. And so it's your siblings that help you remember. Remember when Mom said this? Remember when Dad did this? Remember that day when this thing happened, the dog got loose in the street and Pop lost it, or whatever it was. That's that shared little bit of you that even your spouse doesn't have, because you and your spouse don't go back to your childhood in most cases. I have that with my sister. Our next speaker, my good friend Ellen Hendricks, who serves with us as our Director of Research and also as a town councilwoman for Greenburgh, has been a member of this Memorial Planning Committee. And she lost her brother. And she lost her brother to suicide. And this event happens to fall on a day where in an hour or two, she will be having a memorial service for her mother, who just passed away, at the nursing home where her mother lives. So this is a difficult day to ask her to come to the microphone and share the thoughts of her brother. And I've heard her talk about her brother before, and I think about my sister that I didn't lose, and how much I love having her in my life, and what a sacrifice it is to live most of your life without that sibling. That's what today is about. Today is about the people we lost that we would like to still have in our lives. And that's why we're here today. So on a very difficult and emotional day, I probably didn't help her with this introduction, but I think it's important. But I think it's important that we do have emotion. It is important that we cry when it's right for us to cry. There's nothing weak about that. It's human. It's human. Ellen Hendricks. Ellen, please.
Thank you, County Executive. And I was doing so well with the jokes, you know. So, first of all, about this time last year, the County Executive asked me as Director of Research to do a study on what the county is doing, the Department of Mental Health, as compared to other departments and counties or municipalities around the country. And what we learned was that ours is the best. And I want to thank you and thank your partners, AFSP and NAMI, and all the others for all that you do. AFSP. Now, it's been a long time since I lost my brother, but AFSP was there, and they helped me. So they've been around for a long time, and they really do good things. Many years ago, I lost my high school friend Brian to suicide. He was just a teenager. We all were. And as it happened, I had lunch yesterday with the woman who was his girlfriend. And we talked about it. And she was still, decades later, feeling guilt. Guilt is difficult. We all feel it. And, not that we knew how to help, but, we find a reason to, if only we had, if only we could have. So this is where AFSP and NAMI and DCMH really help. 2 years ago, I learned that my 33-year-old cousin had taken his own life. He secretly lived with depression, hidden for years from most who knew him, and COVID isolation was the final blow. He lived here in Westchester. He grew up here in Westchester. He was my daughter's classmate, too. I was devastated for his wonderful parents, his brother, and extended family. Why? Because it brought me right back to my own pain at the loss of my then 36-year-old brother to suicide so many years before. I felt unable to adequately console them because I didn't want my pain to shadow theirs in any way. Secrets. These 3 young men from my world were all bright, engaging, and adored by all who knew them. What else did they have in common? They didn't reach out. Why? I don't know for sure, but I'd suspect a combination of the fact that people and their loved ones so often hide any kind of mental distress or illness, or perhaps because those who suffered feared showing any perceived weakness. I'm sure there are many more reasons, but the most pervasive is that those of us who need help so desperately are afraid to ask when there are so many caring arms to hold and help them. We must change that. Here we have this wonderful garden. It's a sanctuary because those of us who remain still deeply suffer the loss of our beloved family and friends, as witnessed my friend Kathy Burns, whom I spoke to yesterday. These wonderful people here beside me, in front of me, are working to change that. And I thank you with all my heart. And thank you, Bill Weitz, for the Kleenex. I managed to not cry.
Now we're going to plant 6 remaining butterflies in the garden, and I'm going to ask Marie Considine to come up and join us. We'll double up on a butterfly if we have more than 6 people to do it, but Commissioner O'Connor, Legislator Pierce, our other speakers, Maria and Michael, please come up and help us do this properly. Our Deputy Commissioner, Joe Glazer, is going to help us do this as a sign of our commitment to the people that we've lost. You want to, then I'll share it. Oh, we got plenty? Okay. As long as we got one. I'm going to let you do it. Shall we? Michael, lead the way. Friends, before we close off our program, I do want to recognize first Commissioner Kathy O'Connor that wants to share some information. I'm going to ask Marie Considine to also speak. Kathy?
Thank you very much, County Executive. I'm listening, of course, to all the stories, and I have to tell you, I have 7 sisters, no brothers. I'm number 2 in the family, and I did lose my older sister, not to suicide, but to cancer, unfortunately, 10 years ago. And I can't even imagine, because it still kills me, I can't imagine the feeling that people in the audience and people behind me have dealt with. She's gone, but obviously it wasn't suicide, but the hurt is still the hurt. And what has helped all of us, we're very close. And I can't imagine not having had the support that we've had with the other 6 that are here, and all the things that we remember as a family. My mom and dad are gone now too, but I have 6 wonderful other people that, you know, share a lot of the same memories. That being said, I've also thought often, I've had the pleasure of working with Michael Orth for almost actually over a decade now, and my job isn't easy, being Commissioner of the County Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, but I can't imagine what he deals with, what you deal with, what NAMI deals with, what the American Association for Preventive Suicide deals with. It's overwhelming to me. That being said, the fact that our department was chosen and one of our parks was chosen for this absolute beautiful oasis. It's a sanctuary. Somebody used that term. Ellen used that term, and it is. And we are so proud of what we were able to do with the help of fundraising from all of you, but also with the help of my wonderful staff, that without batting an eye, I added another piece of work and told them to do it like yesterday, and they did it. And I am very fortunate to be commissioner of a department that's the way they roll. As I said affectionately, they're a MASH unit. I throw a lot at them, and they handle it. I want to just point out a couple of quick things. Love it here. We picked Ridge Road, or the committee picks Ridge Road, because it's also free. I certainly didn't think it was appropriate to have a situation where you'd have to pay for parking. That would not have worked out well. So this is centrally located, which is also really important. And as you can hear, even when we have a lot of people in the park, it's calm. And just like 9/11 at Kensico Dam, there could be a festival going on the plaza, but over by 9/11, there's a sense of calm, serenity, prayerful. And that's, I think, what we created here. So I wanted to certainly thank part of our staff that's here, William Bland, who oversees Parks and Recreation Division. We have Joe Simoncini, who's the director of the Parks Division, and his assistant, Ron Anderson, for the Parks Division. But we also have Lou Mazzelli and Mark Porter, who's number 1 and 2 in handling this particular facility, as well as other facilities. And without batting an eye, I said, could we please get the rest of the stone wall done? And it was done. As you can see, it's a full semicircle, which I think just gives such a beautiful closure. They've weeded, they've replanted, and the final piece, and in closing, we are donating a kiosk to this beautiful facility, this park. It would have been done. Unfortunately, the carpenter who is doing it, unfortunately has been ill. So it will be done probably within the next 2 weeks. It will be positioned over there, and it will house any advertising or any announcements for NAMI. And finally, this has now become the site for the NAMI fundraising walk. You do it in May. So we've had so many people that have no idea what this is all about stop and just really feel good and think about whatever they think about. And it's coming back to the people that work here. So this is a beautiful scenario. My heart goes out to anyone and everyone that has dealt with suicide, a loss of a loved one, and we're here to always help. And if our parks can make you feel better, then that makes my job even better. Thank you to the county executive, as always, so supportive. Thank you for the Board of Legislators for all that they do for us. Thank you.
Executive privilege. 2 more comments before we break. Marie Considine with NAMI. I want her to share. Marie, I want to share the information you'd like to convey to everybody.
Hi, thank you, County Executive. I'll be very brief. I've been honored to be a part of the planning committee to make this garden happen. The people you're looking at and the people you're hearing about here are so dedicated and devoted to honoring all those people who have lost their lives to suicide and all the people who have lost someone to suicide. Our family lost someone very near and dear to us last summer on my husband's birthday, and he was very important to our family and to our children. And he was one of 4 boys, and I have 4 boys, so it really hit home. So I understand what it's about to lose a sibling to suicide, because I feel for them and all of you. The one thing that I did want to add to this morning's program is that Sunday is World Suicide Prevention Day, and we've arranged for the Mario Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge to be lit in teal and purple Sunday evening. So if you're around and available, stop by, take a picture, think of someone, share it on social media, and also share some resources. And that's really what the idea for this garden and the kiosk to be about, because the kiosk will share all kinds of resources. One about the Suicide Prevention Task Force that we're all a part of, but also all the resources, not just NAMI, but AFSP, MHA, and other organizations in the area, WJCS, so that people come to this park because it's beautiful, stop by the garden because it catches their eye, but they'll also be able to see what it's all about, why it's here, and then they'll know to come back and share it with others. The little butterflies that you see in this garden were placed there on our walk day in May, so it's really nice that some of them are still here. Thank you so much for all being here.
Let me also thank our Westchester County Department of Public Safety, our county police. We have representation here, and we thank you for your service, sir. Always very much appreciated. The final word today I'm going to give to legislator Erica Langpierce. She, too, is a survivor family member, and her leadership on the Board of Legislators comes out of an intellectual commitment, but it also comes out of a personal and emotional commitment. Madam Legislator.
It is very hard to add anything to the wonderful comments made by Ellen Hendricks, my colleague, on such a difficult day. Approximately 2 years ago, I lost my uncle to suicide here in Westchester County. It was in the middle of COVID, so the isolation for him was clearly a factor, but then the isolation for our family in mourning him was profound. I think shame is such a huge part of this, both for those who choose this path and for those of us who are left behind. That community, that ability to share, that ability to mourn and lean on others in this time of crisis for however long that feeling lasts, because I haven't gotten to the outside yet. So I'm very thankful that this park is here, and I'm really appreciative of Michael Orth and all the other players who try very hard to improve mental health and well-being for everyone in this county and for the family members, because it's like the rock that goes into the stream or into the lake, it echoes out. And any individual's pain that's important to all of us, it keeps going, it impacts everyone. So I'm very thankful for those efforts. As a legislator, I will continue to prioritize and work on those efforts. I'm incredibly thankful for everyone here, and really this is a beautiful resource for our county, and I'm really thankful that it's here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us today, and please take the time you need to be thoughtful and reflective. God bless you all.